Hey everyone, so a few days ago we looked at the biggest patch of Season 9 that is going to drop in a couple of days, which will be at 9.9, right? I think there's over 30 changes in that one, and if you missed that, I'll link it down below. Now we're going to move on to some things that you should expect to see at some point during Season 9. Not all of these have release dates yet, but at some point they will be coming. So what we're going to look at in this video, right? We're going to look at Yuumi, which is a new support champion, apparently an enchanter, so some sort of mage. Which champions will be getting an update or a rework in this season? A few other new champions that are going to be coming as well. We have a few details about those, and also a few gameplay reworks. Let's start with Yuumi because that's going to be the closest one out of all of these changes, right? Yuumi is a new support champion. She is the magical cat, apparently. And I thought, like, she wouldn't actually be a cat, but, well, she is. We do know her full abilities now because they're in the client, right? Kind of have to brought forward the champion teaser, right? The video is actually pretty cool. I'm going to play that for you so you can see it now. But one thing that people haven't talked about yet is the release date, release schedule for Yuumi, right? And we have a pretty good idea of when she's going to come out now. Most likely, we're going to get her full, like, gameplay reveal kind of thing on Tuesday or Wednesday, and then she'll actually go onto the PvE on Wednesday night as well, and you can actually play her for the first time. Wednesday night, your inboxes are going to be flooded with Yuumi gameplays saying she's the next broken thing, I'm sure, but she is supposed to be a support. That means that she'll be in the 9.10 cycle, so she's going to sit on the PvE for a couple of weeks. They're going to test everything, hopefully get most of the bugs out, and then after that, she's going to properly release. So what you should expect is we'll see her like in-game stuff, like properly her abilities and everything on the 1st of May, most likely, maybe a day earlier, and then release properly on the 15th where you can buy her and you can play her, and obviously everyone is going to play her in ranked, so that feels pretty bad. As we said though, they actually released her abilities and what they do. We don't have numbers or anything like that, but we do know like the basic thing of what they are actually going to be. So her passive is called Pop and Block. Every so often, Yuumi's next attack against an opponent restores mana and grants her a shield. If Yuumi is attached to somebody though, which we're going to go into in a second, that will make sense later. The shield protects her ally as well. The shield protects Yuumi or her ally until it is broken. Your Q is the thing that you're probably going to max first, so it's called Prowling Projectile, right? She fires a missile that deals magic damage to the first enemy hit. If the missile is in flight long enough, which apparently is a second, by the way, actually quite a long time, it will deal bonus damage and also slow enemies. Again, this part is not going to make sense until we go into the W, but while attached, she fires a missile from an ally's position instead and can direct the missile's flight path with her mouse. That's pretty interesting. That's going to be a lot of fun weaving it in and out people to snipe somebody at the back, but you have to be attached to do that, and that is her W, you and me. The passive is while attached, Yuumi and her ally gain a percentage of each other's AD or AP converted to adaptive force. The active part, and this is the attaching mechanic, Yuumi starts with a point in her W. She dashes to an ally champion and attaches to them. While attached, she follows their movement and is untargetable by everything except tower damage. Yuumi's abilities fire from her ally's locations. That's like her Q, right? And also her passive, and she can't attack enemies at all. But she can unattach after a cooldown or attach to another teammate with no cooldown and jump between allies like that. And also, if the person you're attached to dies, you'll obviously come out of it. That is a very unique part about her. This is the thing that we're going to have to learn how to play with properly because she will jump around and be very hard to shut down herself. Her E is called Zoomies, and I can't believe they actually called a spell that. She heals and gains a burst of move speed, but if attached, her ally is targeted by the spell instead, and this spell has 2 charges, a lot like how Tarek's Q works. Final chapter is her ultimate. She opens a book, apparently, launching waves of magic damage that root enemies after multiple hits. Apparently, it is 7 waves, and after 3, it's going to root. While using her ultimate, Yuumi can still move, attach to ally champions, and heal as well, so she can use her abilities, move around, it just fires from in front of her. Basically, Yuumi is a buffer, right? She's there for a shield, a heal as well, jumping around, doing a bit of damage as well, and buffing her ally to give her more damage. The fact that her W really relies on being around somebody else though, like having somebody there to jump onto and to attach to, right, makes it very unlikely that she's going to be good in a solo lane. If she is good in a solo lane, it'll be because her Q does too much damage, because otherwise that is all she has for damage apart from her ultimate. Everything else is a buffing mechanic. I can imagine that she's really going to suck for a while as well, especially when we get into game, because it's really hard to learn how to use a W. We've never had anything like this before. It could end up making it a very hard 2v1 to play in the lane phase because both are going to be focusing your AD carry while you're hiding away and untargetable. Yes, you're going to buff them and you're going to heal them and shield them, and that'll be really good, but at the end of the day, a big part of 2v2 is having your health bar there as well to soak some of the damage. The buff seems pretty good though, like you're going to get some damage as well, and that will scale during the game, so it's still going to be really great. You're going to be able to jump onto your AD carry in team fights, you're going to be able to shield them, you're going to be able to heal them, and keep people away with the damage yourself. I'm actually pretty excited for Yuumi, honestly. I think this is one of the best designed champions we've had for a little while. Obviously, we'll have to see about the jumping mechanic because that will change everything, and we have no reference point for that. But she doesn't seem too overloaded. She brings a shield and a heal, which is great. Her Q is a unique mechanic as well. The dashing is a unique mechanic, so it's actually pretty cool. So the rest of the video is going to have nothing to do with Yuumi, and if you've clicked the timestamp in the description because you didn't want to know about Yuumi or you've already seen a video about it, then welcome to the other half of the video, I guess. So the biggest change from last season to this season is that Riot aren't doing many visual gameplay updates anymore for the rest of the season now. We're going to have a couple more, and then that's basically it. Last season we had a ton. We had Swain, Irelia, Aatrox, Akali, Nunu, and Ezreal, and we know a couple of those definitely broke the game for a little while. But these are the ones where the champions are really rebuilt. They kept like the theme of them obviously, but the visuals are all different, and what they actually do, their abilities are going to be different as well. Now there will be some gameplay updates though, like this one to Teemo, which we know is pretty soon, so this is the first thing we're going to look at. The main thing about this Teemo rework is it should bring him into play a little bit more. So the first thing is that you're going to have poison synergy with his entire kit. Your passive auto attacks will deal a bit more damage when there are other poison effects already on the target. So blinding dart, like your Q, will now also apply some poison. Your mushrooms do already, but they're going to obviously apply the poison. And yes, by the way, actually this does work with Cassio or Twitch as poison effects. So if they poison a target and you hit them, you'll do the bonus damage. But that is the entire theme of his kit now. Really, if you want to do damage, you're going to have to use the poison properly. You're also going to be able to stealth while moving. He is invisible while standing still in a brush anyway, but now you can move up to 3 seconds outside of a bush and still be invisible. Originally, when you were running around, it would just be camouflage so you could see him, but it is back to invisibility with a small little thing now where they're testing leaving footsteps, so you cannot see him, but you can guess where he's roughly going to be. If you damage him, it kicks him out of stealth, so that is the reason why. Leave a footstep. If you hit him, if you manage to figure out where he is, you'll break it and you'll be able to fight him. The last big difference is more mushrooms. You can hold up to 5 at a time at level 16, and this should mean objectives are littered with them. So as you can see, some very different ways you're actually going to play Teemo, but essentially he is still the same champion, and that is what you should expect if we do see any updates now. A lot of his damage now is moved onto his passive and the poison synergy that you're going to have to play around. So you'll need to follow up a blind or a mushroom with an auto attack if you want to get max effect out of it. In general, it should make his trading better and late game more of a win condition with the shrooms, because you can literally litter an entire area with them and you will have to walk over them. They still do a lot of damage, and if Teemo is sitting there in a brush or just hiding invisible, then he could pop out and absolutely annihilate you. The point is, this is the kind of update that we're going to see this season rather than full champions with their entire kit, except for a couple. There are only going to be a few more. Mordekaiser is already pretty much done apparently, so we should see that pretty soon now in the next couple of months probably. Apparently this is one of the biggest visual and gameplay updates they've ever done. They've replaced every single ability on his kit while trying to focus at least on keeping him like an AP juggernaut, so something like an AP version of a Darius. One of the biggest changes that we are going to see when he does launch is going to be to his ultimate. Right now it's pretty basic. You apply on somebody, it does a bit of damage. If they die, you get a ghost out of it. After the update though, it'll be something that you really have to play around. You have to be kind of like respectful, I guess, when it's off cooldown and with nowhere to run or hide apparently, so that means it probably has a slow and it will set the rest of his kit up. They do say it won't be long until we have this, so it honestly probably will be in the next month or two. There is one after that we know about for Mordekaiser, and then it's probably going to be done for the rest of the season, except stuff like Teemo. This one is to Pantheon. He is getting the full visual and gameplay update at the same time. The difference here, though, is they're trying to really just bring Pantheon into the current game. He's a very old champion, a very simple kit. It does pretty much one thing for each ability, and they want to modernize it and make it more complicated. They're going to keep him playing very aggressive, so as aggressive champion, same kind of pattern where you poke somebody down and then you dive in to try and kill them. The difference, though, is they're going to give him a deeper set of options and decisions for him to play around with so that he can use his abilities in different ways. If you think about it, Pantheon right now just has a jump in with his W and then he uses Q and E. If he kills somebody, that's great. If he doesn't, he's pretty much boned. Pyke, for example, is a brand new champion. You can use his kit in a lot of different ways. Like you can use his E to go in or out, for example. You can use his stealth to zone people. You can use it to heal back up. There's a lot of different functionality within the kit. One thing that they are going to do, though, that is probably going to be the most new thing about Pantheon is using his shield for one of his abilities. I'd imagine this is some sort of damage reduction where he dives in and then props his shield up so he doesn't take much in return, maybe like Irelia's W, for example, but that is one of the themes that they are going to try and play around. So the gameplay team, the champions team and stuff, right, is a huge team. So if they're not going to focus on the visual updates, they're going to be focusing on new champions. First of all, we have Yuumi, obviously, coming out pretty soon, and then we're going to have an assassin, and then we're going to have an AD carry. So the assassin apparently is going to be for mid or top lane, probably mid lane, because most assassins scale with levels really well and most of them go mid. Either way though, it is going to be an AD assassin, so it'll be using things like Dustblade. It'll be something like a Zed or a Talon. They do specifically say solo lane, by the way, so we're probably not going to see this in the jungle. It will be something like a Zed. We don't know very much about this, honestly, so I won't drag this one out too much. The only thing we do know is that he's going to revolve mostly around his surroundings. I don't know exactly how that's going to work, obviously, but they say he will be strong in the jungle and also next to walls as well, so you want to avoid those kind of areas. That might mean that he can like hide inside of a wall and wait wait for people. It might mean that he can jump out of them, but basically you don't want to fight him in the jungle and you don't want to fight him next to wall. The last thing we can look at, which was very subtly hinted at the very end of this, is that we're also going to have a very non-traditional marksman planned for late this year. Obviously, we don't know exactly what that means, but a traditional marksman to me is something that has pretty high range and is going to be able to use auto attacks for most of their damage. Out of the ones we have at the moment, I would say that even Jhin is quite traditional, but maybe on the borderline. Like Misfortune is probably not as much, and Ezreal is definitely not a traditional marksman, so he's probably going to be a bit more ability based. Let me know what you think of the changes, and if you have any ideas or theories about the new champions or the new visual updates. Thank you for watching until the very end, but for now, I will leave you with Robots.